A very good evening and thanks for clicking on to the Saturday edition of Vogan's European Outlook. Of course, in the last video I talked about the failure in the sudden stratospheric warming, bringing the extreme winter pattern to not only Western Europe but the British Isles. But all is not lost, folks. I want to talk in a sense a second part to the first video that I did previously, looking at the sudden stratospheric warming and how it is having influence on this winter of 2020-21. It's continuing to keep a cold pattern. It's continuing to force blocking high pressure up over the high latitude region, all triggered by the sudden stratospheric warming as we ended last year, begun this year, and we're seeing that reflection down in not only the lower part of the stratosphere, but also the upper portion, or the upper to mid portion of the troposphere. So down at the 500 millibars. So you can see here the oranges generally extending from North Alaska through the North American side of the pole, over Greenland, over Iceland. And like I said to you, when you've got that warming down in the lower part of the stratosphere, you then force the troposphere to shrink. That forces high pressure to build over this very region that has the oranges, and that is exactly what we're seeing down at 500 millibars here. The pattern is such at the moment that we've got a real fight between mild westerly winds coming in from the Atlantic and cold air initially coming in from the continent, but now we've seen the continent warming up, and now what we're seeing is cold air continuously trying to push south from the Arctic region into the British Isles here. So we've got cold weather in place at the moment. We've got snow. We've got rumours of snow tomorrow. If you live in the south and the southeast of England, of course, all eyes on that system coming in from the Atlantic as it bumps into the cold air in place. We're hoping to see some snow. We're hoping to get snow in the areas that we've not seen snow just yet. So it's going to be very interesting to see that. In the days after that, we're going to warm things back up once again. And of course, many, including myself, don't necessarily want to see that. But certainly that is not a telltale sign that winter is then over with. You know, folks, at the end of the day, we're only at the end of January here. And I suppose I was a little bit dismayed by the way the sudden stratospheric warming didn't, nicely, transfer its energy down through the column from stratosphere into troposphere and reverse those winds. It was a kind of strange and funny kind of sudden stratospheric warming event, and I'll maybe try and look into that at some point and explain what went on, because there's a couple of experts that are far more clever than I am that have actually suggested why the sudden stratospheric warming didn't do what it perhaps should have done or may have done. But one thing is pretty clear, is that we're continuing to keep a very blocked winter over the Arctic region, over Greenland. And that is, although we're seeing a fairly pronounced Atlantic flow coming in, we are getting that constant fight between cold air coming down from the north and mild air coming in from the east. This is the CFSV2, by the way, for the hemispheric view. So this is looking down over the pole. North America is centre at the bottom, and then the UK is kind of an angle here to the right of the map. But what's very interesting about this, folks, is if you look back at the 72-hour chart for the 100 HPA temperatures in the stratosphere, it reflects where that orange is very nicely. You notice here the strong positive almost directly underneath where that orange was at 100 millibars. So the lower part of the stratosphere is reflecting very nicely at 500 millibars. And you can see here the negative over Europe here, but you've got a strong negative here to the south of Greenland. And what that indicates is we've got a pretty strong jet stream here extending out of North America underneath the ridge over Greenland and foreign areas of low pressure and somewhat milder air into the UK here. But like I say, because of that block, it is west based, it isn't overly conducive for cold locked in weather across the British Isles. That may change, by the way, as we go into February, because we are continuing to see warming within the stratosphere, which would indicate a suppressed polar vortex, a weaker than normal polar vortex, which takes us into February and continues to keep the cool, if not cold shots coming into the British Isles. So there's lots of hope that we get winter during the month of February and perhaps even further, even into March. So you can see here, this is week 1 of the CFSV2 weeklies. This is week 2. You can still see the negative centered over the UK, the positive extending from the south shore of Hudson Bay up into Greenland here. Week 3, that would be a more impressive positive here, because that would essentially shut down the Atlantic in a sense. We wouldn't have that pronounced jet stream here, even though it's further south. It would kind of shut that down with that positive more over. That would be more of an east-based negative North Atlantic oscillation. Even the following week, look at this here. So this is the 13th through the 20th of February. And boy, oh boy, if that was to materialize, folks, that would be the type of pattern that we were praying for and hoping for right at this very moment in time. This was, of course, the time that I thought we would see major winter weather across the British Isles, and that has not materialized. But there's plenty of hope. I'm not buying in, I'm not solely relying on these models here, because this is, of course, fantasy land, but it's interesting to see the trends that's going on and the response, the ongoing response of that stratospheric warming event here. So just a couple of thoughts. Hope you're keeping safe, hope you're staying warm as well. Temperatures in the Highlands tonight may dip to -10. We're going to, of course, continue to keep our eyes on the snow system tomorrow crossing Wales and into the South Midlands and across the southern portion of England. That's it for today. Hope you have a great one. Back in the next couple of days with more. Bye for now.